Renewable energy, wave, tidal, the whole marine scene has the potential to do to the Highlands and Islands what oil industry did to Aberdeen back in the 1970s. There are waves and there are tides all around the world, and I'm quite sure we can export technology from here, just in the same way we exported waves of technology in the past. Marine time is coming, and it's now.
We're heading out of Kirkwall Harbour. On board the boat is a team from Open Hydro, an Irish company with contracts to install tidal farms in the Channel Islands and Canada. This is what we've come to see, a machine which, when lowered onto the seabed, generates electricity from the ebb and flood of the swift tidal current. It has been tested off the island of Idé for 2 years and is already feeding power into the national grid. It's ready for the next stage.
Open Hydro has a manufacturing facility in Ireland where we're already starting the manufacture of our larger commercial turbines for our projects in the Channel Islands and in Nova Scotia.
So how long before we actually see a farm in Scotland?
I would say in the next couple of years I would be very positive that we could see the first tidal farms being developed.
This animation shows how a tidal farm would be created. It uses a specially built ship, a barge, from which the generator can be lowered by cables onto the seabed. The cables are raised, then, as the tide speeds up, it turns the turbine and generates electricity. A connector carries the power ashore and into the grid. That custom-built barge has recently arrived on Orkney. All £5 million of it, the only one in the world.
Yeah, really, I mean, there's a number of parts to this whole industry. There's first and foremost having a turbine technology that actually works. But the second thing, and equally importantly, is having a process to deploy them in a safe and a cost-effective way. These are fundamental steps in us meeting our objectives of building farms of tidal turbines. It's very near and it's very real.
But developers can't just lower these turbines wherever they fancy.
That's because the seabed is owned by the Crown Estate, and it will lease sections of that seabed to developers. Valuable sites like the Pentland Firth will probably cost more. Now, I understand that they hope to start that leasing process before the end of this month. So, this barge and those leases will be two important steps towards turning tidal power into a commercial reality.
The government has confirmed only recently that it has an aspiration to deliver 1 gigawatt of marine renewables power by 2020. And although that may seem a long way off, if we actually want to get that power into the grid by that time, we really need a leasing process now so that people can start making applications for areas of seabed where their technology can be deployed.
And that is what we're hoping we're going to hear soon.
Yes, there are plans underway for a leasing round to be announced by the Crown Estate, and we're hoping that that will happen in the near future.
On the other side of the island, they're drilling. Not for oil, they're installing another company's design of marine power generator. But it is only the third business to come to Orkney and pay for its machine to be tested at the government's evaluation laboratory. In Stromness is the European Marine Energy Centre. It was meant to pay for itself within a year. 4 years on, the taxpayer still foots the bill, £15 million so far. What went wrong?
No, nothing went wrong. It was just that the developers were unable to stick to the original plans that they had, mainly because it's been found to be harder to do this than people originally expected.
And they were meant to pay you so you didn't get the money coming in?
That's right. So consequently, the site is ready and it's ready for developers to come and use it, but that costs money to keep that going in the meantime.
The centre's problem is most designs are still on the drawing board. They fear taxpayers' investment could be wasted if the Westminster government doesn't improve the national grid and lower transmission charges.
Unfortunately, we do have a habit of blinking when it gets to the crucial moment. When we need to make big investments of technology, we have a habit of stepping back, and we really mustn't do that this time. We are a maritime nation, we know how to do things at sea, and we really have to get on with it. It would be such a shame if we did the same thing that we did with wind, which back in the 70s and 80s, we got to a point, we were world leaders, we then paused, decided we weren't really sure about it, and then Denmark really took a lead. Now they've got a $6 billion a year industry out of that, and we are struggling to have a wind industry at all of our own.
The good news is the Pentland Firth is so rich in marine energy it's been called the Saudi Arabia of tidal power. The bad news is the local connections to the grid can't cope, and tidal developers face huge transmission charges. To transmit power from Orkney, the grid company charges £60 per kilowatt. To transmit from Caithness, it's £22. But to transmit from Cornwall, the developer is actually paid £12. The government says the charges have not discouraged developers from applying, so they won't be capped. But consultants Aquaterra told us most of those developments are just speculative wind farms. Marine development, they insist, is being hampered by transmission charges.
Onshore wind is a proven technology, the financial models are well known for that, but if you're looking to develop marine technologies, the financial models for those are unknown. If you add the uncertainty of an unknown transmission charge, then that becomes very difficult for investors to make a positive decision to go forward.
Already there are rumblings that this could be the next big financial fight between Scotland, Westminster and Europe.
There is a European directive on the fair transmission charges for renewable energy, and this seems to go directly across that.
So what would you do if that is the case?
Let's go one step at a time, and let's take the financial arguments first of all and build up the case with the UK government that their position is wrong.
A final thought. Orkney is an Icelandic name. Ni means island, Ork means energy. How long before it can live up to that name?